choice to be selfish and not be useful, like everything else is in the universe.
See, even the earthworm is not thinking of being useful. Earthworm is also greedy for his survival. He wants to eat as much as he can, he wants to reproduce as much as he can. With what little he knows, he is very selfish. Yes? But his selfishness, we are taking advantage of it in some way to our selfishness. So all creatures, they are structured in such a way, they are not thinking of serving anybody. Don't think the tree outside is thinking of giving flowers to you, it's just trying to reproduce. Yes? It is trying to attract the bees and the birds and reproduce. It is not trying to give flowers to you to do puja in your puja room or wear it in your hair or smell it and feel wonderful about it. It is not at all concerned about you. It is striving for its survival and reproduction, isn't it? Isn't it so? You are giving it all kinds of meanings in your head. But all life, every creature, a plant, animal, insect, worm, is only striving for its survival. But because the creation is such that one striving for survival eats up another one and makes another one survive out of that, the whole process is a chain and it happens. You know the food chain and all that stuff. Why human life needs so much attention is because we are human beings. Earthworms may be having a meeting right now talking about their enlightenment, okay? But their methods won't work for you. Because we are human society, we are sitting here and talking about human enlightenment. So it's not just that we are paying so much attention to our lives, they are also paying enormous attention to their lives. They are not ignoring their lives. But what is the distinction is, animal life is still compulsive. In yoga, we look at life as happening in three different dimensions. This is called Mruga, Manusya and Deva. That means animal nature, human nature and divine nature. Animal nature is well established. Divine nature is very well established. What you call as human is not established. This moment you can be godlike, next moment you can be like a brute. You are swinging between the two. Sometimes you are near to this, sometimes you are near to that, isn't it so? Look at yourself and see in 24 hours' time how many swings you make. This moment you're wonderful, next moment you're nasty, next moment you're beautiful, next moment you're ugly. Isn't this happening to you? Yes? So you're constantly swinging. There is no such thing that you can point out and say, this is human nature. Humanity is a flux. They can become anything they want. No other animal has this freedom. So this life, which was in that compartmentalized animal nature, has now evolved into a status where it is no more restricted, it can become anything it wants. This is a freedom, but this is what human beings are suffering right now. What people are suffering is not their bondage, what people are suffering is their freedom. That's why it's so tragic. If you're suffering your bondage, that is fine, but you're suffering your freedom. See, if your life was fixed up like animal nature, you wouldn't be suffering so much, isn't it? For example, let's say a tiger is born. He is not sitting there and planning and calculating how to become a good tiger. Just find enough food, he will become a good tiger. Yes? Gobble up as much food as you can, he will become a good tiger. He has no such fears and insecurities, will I become a tiger, will I end up as a house cat? These kind of problems don't exist for him. You are born as a human being. To become a good human being, how many things you have to do? And still you don't know. After all this, you still don't know where you belong, isn't it so? Compared to another human being, you can say, okay, I am better than him. But by yourself, you do not know where you belong. Because what you call as human being is not established. You are left free by nature. This is a tremendous possibility. Later, nature left you free like this, trusting your intelligence, that naturally you will seek higher, not the lower. Because there is something within you which is always trying to seek the highest that you know, isn't it? If you know money, you want to be the richest man in the world. If you know power, you want to be the most powerful man in the world. If you are an arty person, you want to be the most artistic person in the world. Whatever you know as life, it is very natural for you to seek the highest in that, isn't it? So whatever you expose yourself to, you want to go there. So this is a natural urge. So this urge has been put into you and you've been left free to become whatever you want with the trust that you will anyway go for the highest. But right now, human beings are going about as if they want to disprove that. So the talk about human enlightenment has risen only because of this unstructuring of life for you. If it was very structured, as it is for every other creature, we wouldn't be talking to you about enlightenment, we would be talking to you only about survival. And survival and survival. But now that your life has been slightly unstructured, you can make yourself into anything that you wish. This moment, if you are willing, you can make yourself very joyful and pleasant. This moment, if you want, you can make yourself very unpleasant and something else, isn't it so? So the choice is always there every moment. Most of the time, you are not exercising this choice because you are existing in a compulsive way as a reaction to many things around you. Now the whole effort, what we call a spiritual process or path, is to transform this compulsive being into your conscious being, to make every aspect of life, from A to Z, from the process of life, from the process of being born, from the process of living and death and choosing the very womb that you're born in, into your conscious process. Everything, life and death, into your conscious process. That is what spiritual path means.
Enlightenment.
Enlightenment.
My basic question is, what does it feel like?
What does it feel like? Let's say there's no magic potion in this, just water, okay. Let's say you never had the experience of drinking water. And I have, and if I try to describe to you how it feels to drink water, would I ever get across to you? It doesn't matter how articulate I am, will I ever get across to you?
I'm trying.
Could you? Could you describe to a man who has not ever had the experience of drinking water what it really feels like to drink water? Something as simple as this. It won't get across, isn't it? So anything which is not in your experience, if people talk about it, it doesn't matter how articulate they are, how they come out, invariably it only leads to a misunderstanding. So let's not talk about how it feels, let's talk about technically what it means.
Good stuff.
That you can understand, I know. If I say how it feels, I will end up saying things which… because whatever you speak, when we use language, I have to take care that I'm logical, isn't it? What you're referring to as enlightenment is not a logical process. It's well beyond that. So if I speak illogically here, would you sit with me? You won't. You won't, isn't it? Next 5 minutes if I speak illogically with you, you'll want to leave, isn't it so? Yes. You will sit here only if I speak logically. That means you have made it very clear to me, don't talk enlightenment. Okay? We'll talk about it, not… So what is it that we are referring to as enlightenment? As a human being, there are various levels of experiences that human beings are going through. Some people know just food and sleep, some people know
creating something. Some people know action, some people know art, some people know music. Some people know drugs, sex, this, that, so many things. But if you look at it carefully, always a human being is seeking to have a larger slice of life, isn't it? Isn't it so? Whether he's out to make money, or he wants to have pleasure, or he wants to go to heaven, it doesn't matter. Whether he wants to go to the temple or to the bar, he is still trying to have a larger slice of life. That's the only intention, isn't it so? To enhance the present level of life to something more. So the whole effort is to have a larger slice of life. So you have had pieces of life, some of them have been good, maybe some of them bitter, but you have had a certain slice of life. Suppose you had the whole pie for yourself, I would call that enlightenment. You're not seeking pieces anymore. You become very greedy. You want all of it. Everything that can be known, experientially. You want to know it right now. If you do manage it, that's called enlightenment. Is it very difficult? Not at all. The most difficult thing about enlightenment is it's too simple. And it's the most obvious. Because it's so obvious, the whole world misses it. If it was somewhere up on the moon, by now everybody would have gotten it. But the problem is it's right here within you. That's the whole problem. And your whole focus is out. Why it is out is, right now, your whole perception of life is only through 5 senses. Yes? Everything that you know right now has entered you either by seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching. This is the only way you know the world, isn't it? This moment if you shut down these 5 agencies of senses, you'll have no experience of life or of yourself. This is what is happening to you when you fall asleep. When you fall asleep, this one is very much alive, the body is alive, the mind is on, the world is on, but all of them have disappeared in your experience simply because the 5 senses have just shut down, that's all. So sense organs are the only means of experience for you right now. And sense organs in the very nature of things are outward bound. See, you can hear the fan obviously, but even if you drop a pin, you can hear it. So much activity in this body, can you hear it? No. If an ant crawls upon it, even the breeze from this fan you can feel it on your skin. So much blood flowing inside, can you feel it? No. So sense organs are essentially outward bound. Because of your dependence upon the sense perception, turning inward and knowing the inner dimension seems to be so out of reach. That's only because you do not have the right kind of instruments or right kind of vehicle to turn inward. It is like you want to eat a laddu, but you want to eat it through your ears. Very difficult, quite impossible, isn't it? You just have to understand it can only go here, it can't go here. So enlightenment is that difficult. Understand?
It never seems that easy.
Huh?
It never seems simple.
I'm saying it's that difficult. Even if you use both ears, still the laddu won't go. Even a piece of it won't go. But if you just use the right inlet, it goes. It's because people do not make the necessary effort to find which way. They want to go the way they know. It looks impossible. It is like you're riding a bullock cart, but you want to go to the moon. Somebody gives you a horsewhip and tells you, really whip the bulls, you'll get there. You won't get there. The reason why it's become so difficult is because too much nonsense has been spoken about it. If nobody had said anything about it, many people would have found their way. Too much nonsense has been said about it and a whole lot of confusion created. People have written too many things about it without knowing what it is. People have said too many things about it without having a clue what they're talking about, which has left people absolutely confused. At least, if people shut up, human intelligence is capable of knowing this. Because if you have an uncluttered intelligence, if a human being grows up with an uncluttered intelligence, when I say uncluttered, if your intelligence functions without being identified with anything in particular, then knowing the inner dimension becomes a natural process. Right now, that possibility has been taken away because right from day one, the parents are working hard to get the children identified with their family and their stupid values and whatever. The teachers are working super hard. You okay for a joke? I'm supposed to be serious? No? On a certain day, a bull strayed into the forest. He saw lush green grass and he went grazing inside. He went deep into the forest. A few days and weeks living there, he grew fat on food and no work. Then an old lion, who was well beyond his prime, was having difficulty hunting the wild animals, saw this fat bull. Easier to stalk and kill a bull than a deer, So he looked for his time and then pounced on him and killed him and ate him up. His stomach became real full. Then with great satisfaction he roared. A few hunters were passing that way. They heard the roar and tracked down the lion and shot him dead. The moral of the story is, when you're so full of bull, you should not open your mouth. But all the time these people are opening their mouth. If they all shut up for some time, it will be very natural for every human being to long to know. Right now they're just destroying that by giving ready-made solutions and all kinds of nonsense to believe in. It is very natural for your intelligence to probe at everything, isn't it? And how can you ignore yourself? You have ignored yourself because they've always made you look up there at some god that they themselves have not seen. Because of this, enlightenment has been transported or exported to heaven. Otherwise, it's simple, it's the most obvious. When you heard of Arjuna. So when Krishna went on talking truth, Arjuna said, where the hell is this truth that you're talking about? Where is it? Because if I ask you, is it here, you say no. If I ask you, is it there, you say no. At another time, if I ask you, is it here, you say yes. If I ask you, is it there, you say yes. What is this nonsense? Where is it? Tell me where is it, I'll go get it. He's a warrior, So Krishna laughed and said, the ultimate truth about life is at the tip of your nose. Now, there are many schools of yoga who are intensely focusing on the tips of their noses. You try focusing on the tip of your nose, within 2 minutes you'll get a headache, you'll not get enlightenment. So, all he's saying is it's the most obvious. The problem is it's here, but your senses are set there. So you just need a little bit of turning around, that's all.
Could you tell us something about Isha Lingam?
I'm sorry?
You have an Isha Lingam at Coimbatore?
Oh,
Dhyana Linga.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. See, when we say the word linga means the form. Why it is referred to as the form is, if you today, modern cosmologists have taken pictures of various galaxies, and the core of every galaxy is always an ellipsoid. You know what's an ellipsoid? It's a three-dimensional ellipse. A perfect ellipsoid is what we are referring to as a linga. So, from unmanifest to manifest. When energy moves from unmanifest nature to manifesting itself into creation, the first form that it takes on is always an ellipsoid, which is a linga. And from our inner experience we know, if you raise your energies to the highest pitch, before the point of dissolution comes, the final form that it takes is also the form of a linga. You will see even in the calendar art, you will see, if you see Atma or whatever going, soul going, it'll be in the form of a linga, it's in the form of an egg. Do you notice that? Because worldwide, this has been the experience of the people. When the point of dissolution comes, it is in the form of a ellipsoid or a linga. So the first form and the final form are linga, so it's seen as a doorway to the beyond. It's a powerful instrument. Many people get offended when I say it's a tool. I say Dhyana Linga is a tool for your well-being. People feel very offended because they see it as God. Then I say, God is also a tool for your well-being, isn't it so? Would you want to go to your God who is no good for you? You want to go to God because He's a tool for your well-being, isn't it so? What's your prayer in the temple? Well-being, isn't it so? So, linga is a powerful tool. There's a whole science of creating linga. This particular linga has been created with including all the 7 dimensions of existence or creation. I cannot go into all the details of that. It's an energy form which has been established in a certain way, which is forever. It is a mercury-based lingam, where there is an energy form. This is a temple where there are no rituals, no prayer, no offering. It is always in total silence. You can just go sit there. People from all communities, from all over the world, people are coming. About close to 1 lakh of people are visiting the temple every month. But there is no offering, no ritual, no any kind of… that kind of religious activity. Just sit there. You may not know anything. You simply sit there. Don't have to have any faith or belief. Simply sit there with some openness in you. Even if you did not know anything about meditation, you will become meditative. That's why it's called Dhyana Linga, because it initiates a spiritual process within you. You don't need any instruction, you don't need any understanding. If you allow yourself to be influenced by it, you will become meditative by your own nature. So, it is a mass initiation of people into meditativeness without any instruction.